All right, Wisco ripping. I'm in the middle of a job. I wasn't planning on making this video at all, but I just started taking things apart. Called some people. My dad, actually, shout out to my dad, that knows what's going on with mechanics and more shit in depth when it comes to wrenching on stuff. But this is where we're at. I did an oil change couple of days ago, and during the oil change I found that I had brake fluid leak on passenger side rear. So I started taking everything apart, and I noticed that the piston was seized up. So it's July 3rd, hotter than hell out, so I got bored. I started taking everything apart. I found a website, polarispartshouse.com, that gives you schematics and part numbers on a lot of this stuff. So I found that, and I just started taking apart the caliper, and this is the piston that goes inside the caliper itself. This was actually seized up, and it was only showing about an 1/8 inch coming out. I could not compress this caliper back in to the I couldn't compress the piston back into the caliper itself. I just did a brake job. If you watch the other video, I did a brake job about a month ago. Didn't have any issues. Put a couple 100 miles on it, and now I have a leak. So you can buy a whole nother one of these. The price for a rear caliper, supposedly, I have, obviously, like I said, it's holiday weekend. I haven't called anybody, but it's about $189 for a caliper. And then for these O-rings, inner seal, outer seal, you're looking at 12 bucks and 15 bucks. So you can save yourself a lot of money if they have these in stock. That's just what I'm worried about, is that they don't have these in stock. And what I'm planning on doing is, if you can see in here, in those grooves, there's actually a lot of dirt and a little bit of wear from the rubber just sticking in there. I don't know if that shows up on camera, but I'm just going to use brake cleaner and clean the piss out of this. I loosened up the bleeder valve. Bleeder valve is, I believe, 8 millimeter. I'm going to take that completely off, clean that out with brake clean, get the dirt out of that. And you got some wear marks, but this is on the outside of the piston. This piston goes on your brake pad, so that ain't too bad of an issue. Obviously, here's your housing, or what they call it is your bore. So if you're handy with a couple tools, and you have a couple tools, it's not exactly rocket science. Everything goes in, everything works the way it's supposed to. It's not hard to kind of figure out. What I had to figure out and had to make a couple phone calls was how to get this piston out when it's seized in here. And what I had to do, plug in my air compressor, use this adapter. I put everything in the vise, and then I had that piece of board sitting. Oh, I can get this on camera with one hand. I had that board sitting in here, and then you shove that air hose right in the back side, and it slides out. Sometimes it'll slide out fast, sometimes it'll slide out slow. Mine did slide out slow, so my guess is, obviously, there is no wear marks. There is no rust on the inside of this. Everything is very clean, other than the grooves of where these O-rings are. So I'm going to see if I can get these O-rings before Saturday, no matter what, going on a rip next Saturday. So, yeah. I did find out that Polaris does have its .4 brake fluid, so I have to get some of that. Yeah, just going at it little by little, learning as I go also. So that's what your caliper looks like. You can buy this for almost 200 bucks, or you can save yourself money. Hopefully they have everything in stock, and I'm gonna grab a couple O-rings, clean this all up. The only thing I'm cleaning it with is brake cleaner right here. Not gonna clean it with anything else. Saturate that, take bleeder valve off. I will buy Polaris .4. I did some research because everybody knows why buy Polaris stuff when you can go to O'Reilly's and buy .4 of other things. But the .4 is higher temperature is what they have, and then they also have additive in the Polaris brake fluid that is non-corrosive. So hopefully on the inside of it, hopefully after I clean that up, it won't rust. So yeah. All right, let's go ripping. Before I put everything away for the night, got some stuff cleaned up here. Brake pads I got all cleaned up for the most part. Nothing too major there. Got the bracket cleaned up. Got the caliper here all cleaned up. Like I said, I did notice there is a little bit of wear. I can't really call it wear, but grooves and stuff from the O-rings from sticking on the inside. What I did figure out that I thought that this piston compresses all the way flush with the caliper. It does not, and that's why I thought the piston was frozen. I don't think the piston was frozen, but obviously I had a leak, and I believe it is this. I think it's the outer O-ring. I don't know if you can see that, but taking that outer O-ring out, there's all kinds of divots on the outside where it actually meets up in that groove. So I believe this outer O-ring started to fail, whether it was heat or some other issue. But yeah, just word to the wise, if you guys are changing your brakes or whatever and you're compressing your piston, that's with no O-rings. That's as far as, there's about an 1/8 inch. That's about as far as that's going to go in. So, like I said, don't ask me how the brake pads came off, but they did. So, just got to wait till Wednesday. Or no, I don't even know what day it is. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Wednesday. I don't know. July 4th, July 5th, before I can make some phone calls and save myself some money and just get a couple O-rings. I might also get this outer O-ring or this outer washer for the brake line. You take that off. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a washer with a gasket on the inside of that. If Polaris or if the dealership sells that, I'm going to try to get another one of those so that doesn't leak, as that tightens up against the caliper. So other than that, invest in a lot of brake clean, so you got that on hand. And yeah, I'm going to put a towel over everything and call it a day until I can hopefully get some parts. If you like wrenching on shit, like I said, the worst case scenario, 200 bucks. If it doesn't work, just gonna have to buy another one. Is what it is. But if I can't get parts, still ripping on Saturday. All right, another feature that I kind of figured out is I took that bleeder valve off, cleaned the bleeder valve hole and all the threads on the inside of there. Clean this all up. What I do want to mention is that if you're not familiar with this stuff, like I'm not, I'm just playing around, but being very careful, is when you tighten this bleeder valve, you literally also just have to hand tighten that. It is 8mm, and just give it just a little bit. There's no way to explain, like, it's hand tight. It just needs a little bit more, and that's it. If you go more than that, you're gonna ruin this. It's literally almost hand tight. It's tight already. So don't try to crank on that with your 8 mil like a regular bolt or anything like that. It's this bleeder valve, even hand tight. You know, now I can't even, yep, there we go, loosen it up. So just word to the wise, just playing around with that. Take it easy on this bleeder valve. Let's go ripping his back with the caliper rebuild on Polaris General XP 1000 2020. Caliper is off. Line is held up. Brake line held up. Oh, no leaks. Here's what I'm working with. I wanted to replace these O-rings, and I just did a brake in my previous video. I did a brake job kit, brake pads, change those out. So check that out if you want to know how to change brake pads. So with everything right now being torn apart, and got me some .4 Polaris brake fluid. You do not need Polaris .4. You can use anything, but I had to go pick up a new caliper. I wanted just a rebuild kit, but nothing was in stock, so I just opted out for. I opted out for another. I think it was like $200. I got a whole new caliper, and here she is, an unboxing, a brand new caliper, which I did not know also comes with brake pads. Everything is ready to go. I really want to say this is actually a +1 for Polaris. Seriously, when you buy a caliper kit, I didn't think I was going to get brake pads. So I was honestly thinking I got a little bit of work to do, but as of right now, all I got to do is put the caliper on, 2 bolts, and then bleed the system. So for the most part, $200, this is what you get, everything assembled, you know. So, and now I have extras. In the long run, I probably will look into a gasket kit. I mean, why not? I'll have, I think for the price would be like about 30 or 40 bucks. I'll have another caliper just as backup. So, all right, let's get to her. All right, as I'm putting everything back together, which is just your two mounting bolts at 46 foot-pounds, that comes up. Also, because this is the first time that I'm taking off I took off the brake line fitting. Just letting you guys know it's 15 foot-pounds. So everything's for the most part back together. Mounting bolt up top, mounting bolt on the bottom, those 46 foot-pounds, and then this is 15 foot-pounds, so I'll just snug that up just a little bit. Got to bleed the brakes and go from there. This tensioning bolt, I guess you could say, right now, I'm not gonna mess with that as of right now until I get the tire back on and spin it. That gives you tension on your brake pads. So we'll see what happens. I looked at the other side, the driver's side already, and it's roughly the same depth. So I might just leave it as it came from factory. All right, I'm about to bleed the brakes. I just want to show you guys on camera. I got a flashlight here, see if this shows up. Even with the leaky caliper, does that show up? Try to rock this thing. I am just below max with fluid. I don't know if that fluid comes up on camera as I wiggle the machine, but I'm not going to add any fluid as of right now. I am just going to bleed the brake, and bleeding the brake because this brake is the farthest away from the master cylinder, which the book says That's the one you want to start with. I am only going to bleed this brake. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get somebody else and they're going to pump the brake. This is going to be tight, build up fluid, build up pressure, and then after they pump it a few times, once they pump it, I'm gonna loosen this, and they're gonna hold the brake pedal, and I'm gonna tighten this, and then as I tighten that, they will let go of the brake pedal, and then I will repeat that process multiple times to let the fluid out. So as they're pushing down on the brake pedal, I will loosen this. This will be open to let the air bubbles through. They will hold the brake pedal, and as they hold the brake pedal, I will then tighten, and then they will let off the brake. And then we just repeat that process. So I don't know how many times it'll happen, but whatever. I'll show you on camera. Just a quick review here. This is the sequence. You got your passenger rear is 1, driver rear is 2, passenger front is 3, driver front is 4, if you want to know the sequence. So, and then also, where's the torque spec for that bleeder valve? Bleeder screw is only 4 pounds. I am going to use a socket. It is 8 millimeter, but obviously I already played with the tension, so I kind of understand the tightness. It's just literally open, close, open, close. You're not wrenching on this bleeder valve, on this bleeder screw at all. You're not wrenching on it, just opening it, closing it. All right, as of right now, I have this bleeder screw closed. You want to go ahead and pump the brakes. I'm going to start this process with it closed. You pump the brakes like 2 or 3 times. I'm just trying to build up pressure in this caliper. All right. Foot off the brake. All right, I'm gonna loosen this. Get this on camera. I'm gonna loosen this up. Push the brake all the way down and hold it. Woo! Hold it. Tighten that back up. Let it go. Okay, there's one. Now I'm going to open this up again and push down and hold. Okay, getting air, a lot of air, getting more fluid. I'm going to close this back up. She's closed. Let go of the brake. Okay. I'm going to loosen this back up. As I do this, please push the brake. Hold it. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, hold the brake, hold the brake. Tighten that back up. Let the brake go. How many cycles was that? Like 3 or 4 maybe? All right, let's try one more. What I'm looking for, the end result, is what I just had was just straight fluid coming out of here, no air bubbles. So I am going to loosen this up. Please push the brake in and hold. Oh, beautiful. Hold that. Let me tighten that. And then release the brake. And we're going to do this one more time, and this is going to be the last time I'm going to do this. So as I release this, push the brake down, please, and hold. Okay. And now I'm going to tighten that back up. I say she's good. And you can release the brake. And I believe that should be problem solved. I am going to throw some brake cleaner on this. I'm not sure how corrosive this .4 is. They say it is, but then Polaris also does say that You know, they got some anti-corrosive NASA foo-foo bullshit going on. So that's bleeding the brake. I'm only going to do this brake, and the only reason I'm going to do it is because this is the farthest one away, and it's the caliper that gave me the issue. So we'll see what happens. One thing I do want to add while I'm here is there's a lot of discussion that I found on the internet of noises and brake caliper chatter. Well, here you are. Everything's tight. Got the front, the top bolt, the back, the bottom bolt. Everything is tight. It just is what it is. It's not loose. It's just loose. I don't know. Don't know what to tell you, but this is brand new. Everything's tight. There's just a little bit of slop, and so that's where the noise comes from. We can go over to the driver's side. Nope, this is still the stock caliper. I've only replaced the brakes. I can move that just a little bit also. So it is what it is. You know, nothing major. I think it's half the shit rattles on this thing anyway when you're ripping. Turn the radio up. That's all I gotta say. If something's gonna break, it's gonna break, and go from there. So all right, let's finish up the job. We'll put the tire back on, and then once I put the tire back on, I'm gonna throw this in neutral and then see how I feel about this adjustment screw that adjusts the brake pad tension. All right, just want to add this in the video too. I do have to add some brake fluid, like I knew I was going to be. So this is the brake fluid cap, and I haven't had this happen, but when nothing works for me, I just want to put it on camera so this will happen to somebody else. So this is just a washer, and this is just the inside, like just a spacer damn near that'll go inside the reservoir. This goes onto that washer, and then it goes into the threads just like that. The first time I took that apart, everything came out fine in one piece. The cap, the washer, and the spacer, as I call it. So don't be discouraged if the cap comes off and then you have a white piece and then this is still under it. All three of these got to come off and then just piece it back together. So what happens is you do not fill the reservoir all the way to max, because then this will push all the fluid back out that you just filled it. So you just got to kind of play with the level of the brake fluid, and then keep putting this together and put it in and see where the pressure is, else the brake fluid is just gonna come out the reservoir. So you just put that white ring washer back onto that. There's the cap. I'm just going to slowly use a small screwdriver to push everything back together. So that's it. Alright, so all I'm doing here, got a little funnel, and I think as of right now you ain't going to see this, the level on camera, but it's at about minimum right now. So just gonna slowly add some in, and then keep slowly add some in, and then put the cap back on, and then that'll raise the fluid. So trial and error here. Like I said, worst case scenario, even if you add too much, if you add too much and you put your plug in and it comes out a little bit, take your cap back off and just put a rag in there. A rag will soak up whatever it can, and then that's just kind of how you adjust it. So you don't need a special pump or anything like that. If you do go over the amount, just put a rag in there and keep dipping that rag in there, or a new rag to saturate it. Throw it in the garbage and until you put the cap back on and it's reading that max. So yep. All right, hopefully this comes up in video, but I am actually over the max. So I'll show you what I'm gonna do. Without that cap in, the level was just under the max line. So you probably want to fill that. If I had to take a guess, there's the word max and min. Fill that up to the middle of both of those words, and then put your cap back on. Try it from there. So now I have to take the cap off and throw some rags in there and just soak up a little bit until I'm at the right level. All right, in the end, all I can say is went for a ride. Everything seemed good. Brakes obviously worked. So I'm just gonna leave it in the garage, see if any puddles show up or any leaks, and we'll go from there. But you know, I just went for maybe like half-mile ride and hit the brakes 5 or 6 times. Everything felt good. So yeah, we'll go from there. So oh, the last thing I wanted to add too is that adjustment screw for the brake pads I did not touch at all. I'm just gonna leave that where it was. I put it neutral, spun the tire around, the resistance was good. Don't think that you can tighten that adjustment screw for the brake pads and then get rid of the rattle that your caliper has. That might work, but in theory all you're doing is tightening the piss out of your brake pads on your rotor, and you're gonna wear them brake pads out faster. So in the end, all in all, for 200 bucks, Polaris gives you a new set of brake pads and everything is all put together for the caliper. I mean, a lot more pissing around taking everything apart than it is putting it together. So like, subscribe. That was an unexpected rear caliper replacement. Take care.